Well, folks, we have just covered a chunky, thick version of a SDB1, and about 3 months ago, we had an assembly shop for the chunky and thick version of a 𝗪𝗧𝗕 one. So logically, and based on the trend, let's supersize me with the AMX 𝗪𝗧𝗕𝗍𝗍. It is big. It is 120mm on a 𝗪𝗧𝗕1-esque of a chassis, but now disclaimer, it is only for the Russian server, but if it's popular enough, might come to the other servers, right? So what the bliat is a Char Lourd AP58, premium tier 8 French heavy tank. It could be at tier 10, but nerf the stats to a heavy at tier 8. So Commander Cupola is obviously the weak spot, but a lot smaller than the AMX 𝗪𝗍𝗍𝗍B. Has the rangefinders similar to American tanks, so it might be weak spots right here. It is 120 on a 𝗪𝗧𝗕1-esque of a chassis design, but big chungus AMX 𝗪𝗧𝗕 following the trend. It's actually not half bad looking. I mean, it might be better than the AMX M4 1949 at tier 8. I mean, it's slower than the FCM50T, but there's different playstyles with the heavy tanks. There's a variation, but okay, I guess it's not a bad looking vehicle, but it could certainly be at tier 10 or at tier 9, right? I mean, all the previous chunky versions of medium tanks are at tier 10. Okay, and there are heavy tanks too, but this one is at tier 8. Alright. It's not a bad looking vehicle. The mantlet is certainly pretty big, and the cupola is smaller than the AMX M4 cupola a little bit, but might be still the weak spot. Might be. It is certainly faster than the AMX M4 1949, I believe, but haven't played with that vehicle in a long ass time. 120mm. So this vehicle on paper performs about the same as American T-34. So slower reload for the 120, lower DPM than the 2000 average, but has the turret armor, has the hull down positions with a slight weak spot to the commander cupola, and maybe the loader cupola a little bit with a little lip. But let's take a look at the main stats. So 120mm, 243mm of pen for AP round. It's okay. I mean, DPM is actually better than the American T-34, so about 1800 compared to about 1600, so not half bad. Accuracy pretty decent, 0.35. It's average but good for a tier 8. Aim time is a little bit long, but 2.7 is alright. 8 degrees gun depression, 15 elevation. Workable, not bad. It's not 10 degrees, but still workable. Traverse, fat medium tank, decent enough. Health, 1500, about the same as the ballpark. 105 for the hull front, 70 for the hull sides. It's about 200mm at best effective, so yeah, it's like a T-34 practically. It's no Turnwagen. Turret front is only 210. It is rounded with a big mantlet, but yeah, cupola is still obviously the weak spot. Maybe the rangefinders too. 60 tons. It has 14.1 horsepower per ton ratio. Not bad. 40 km/h top speed, 16 reverse, hull traverse. Not bad too for a large, heavy tank of a medium, practically. Camo's crap. It has better camo while moving than not moving. What the fuck? How does it get better camo while moving when it's stationary? That doesn't make sense. Alright. It gets better camo firing while moving than firing stationary, but that's a small difference. That's surprising. Did they get this flipped? That's the first time I see something like this, but alright. View range, okay enough, 390. That's weird how it gets better camo while moving. Even though it's negligible, but alright. Fits mostly of the, well, the AMX M4 series, missing a radio operator. Also, the radio operator is also the loader for the AMX 50B series, so might be a slight problem training the autoloaders. Slight. Okay, I mean, size of it is not that big. It is not as big as something like this, right? Not really. This thing has 190 at the whole front. Holy crap. A little bit more health too. Huh. Well, it is a bigger gun than the 105 on the AMX M4, but shell velocity is alright for AP. Gold shell pen is not that great. Only 267? Standard shell is 243. It is not as good as some of the slower firing 120, like the American T-34. That thing has like 300 millimeters with a gold shell pen, which is pretty good against a mouse or tier 10 targets, but even though it has a low DPM, the gold shell on this thing is pretty decent. So about 300 millimeters. You don't really need it, but this is dramatically worse than the T-34. Alright, okay. I mean, you do have a little bit more DPM, I guess. Maybe. So, premium tank, French, versatile. Doesn't matter at tier 8, but alright. It's a 120. Here's a better comparison. Yeah. Speaking of the comparison to the American T-34, has a faster reload, so a little bit better DPM, but base accuracy is not as good. It's a faster to aim gun with less gun depression. A lot faster traverse, which is good. So might be a little bit more agile with this vehicle, but health-wise, about the same as a T-34. Hull armor is also about the same too, surprisingly. Turret is not as strong, I think, but debatable. I mean, cupola is, yeah, more prominent than the T-34's. T-34 has a troll-ish, very troll-ish turret, as well as the cupola. Same goes with the black version. But yeah, health, armor seems about the same, weighs about almost the same. Has less horsepower per ton ratio than the T-34? Really? This thing has 14. Wow! Really? Well, it's about the same, 14.1, but it's a stronger engine for more weight on the T-34. How is it 14.28? I thought it was 14.1. Hidden values, I guess? Oh, okay. There are sometimes different values with tanks.gg because of hidden parameters, but a little bit better top speed, better reverse speed, better traverse dramatically, but yeah, it gets better camo while moving than stationary. So you should just probably move all the time. Better view range, radio is standard. That is surprising. That is interesting. It gets better camo while moving. But yeah, equipment loadout for this vehicle is probably the same as a T-34. So rammer is obvious. Might be vertical stabilizer. Dispersion with these vehicles with a large caliber gun is not great. So possibly vertical stabilizer. And lastly, you could choose hardening for more health. Maybe a turbocharger to make it a little bit faster. Vents is standard. You can also choose vents. Otherwise, you don't really need anything else. You don't need the accuracy with the improved aiming. Enhanced gun lane drive might be a little bit better for this vehicle, but if you can make the turret work, then you can just sit there and aim. But it all depends on the actual cupola armor, right? And the sloping. You don't need the coated optics camo thing. You don't really need it. That's surprising how it gets better camo while moving. Alright, so field modification for versatile heavy tank. This is support? What the hell? Since when is this a support heavy tank? Alright, fine, whatever. It's more like a frontline heavy, but Oh, it's like the T-32. Alright, I mean, there's no difference. So better terrain resistance or track durability? I say terrain resistance, make it go a little bit faster, effectively. Accuracy or aim time? This one's tough. Both are on the edge of being mediocre to good enough. So I would say, in all sense, like 80% of the time, if you have a toss-up, choose better accuracy. You can wait like a 0.1 or 0.2 seconds a little bit longer. So I would say better accuracy. Yeah, even choose accuracy on the T-34. Oh, T-32. Never mind. Aim time is already good on this vehicle. And finally, view range or stun duration. View range. Stun duration is very niche. I mean, unless you're faced off against 3 artilleries, that's unlikely to happen. And most of the time, based on current map rotation or designs, you have a lot of cover from artillery, so you won't be shot constantly. So I would say better view range. But how much would I rate this vehicle? It feels fine. It feels a little bit more mobile than the T-34. And I play my T-34 a lot. Like a lot. So I know the back and front of that vehicle, like my hand. But the only good thing about this turret is that it could go up against tier 10s and still hold out with a gold shell. The gold shell will hold you out against high tier targets, so you are still feared even though DPM is not that great. You can hold your own against a tier 10 or tier 9 if you have a hold down position, right? You're still viable enough. The gold shell with this vehicle is not that great. Also, the cupola is somewhat more prominent, so depending on the armor, it might be super good, it might be kind of crap. So for now, I'll say 5 out of 10. I mean, it feels more mobile, maybe 5.5, but hull armor is likely only about 200mm effective. So it's okay, but you don't have the DPM to go hunting medium tanks. So you're holding your own against other heavy tanks, possibly higher tiers. And when that time comes, you'll be shot at into your cupola. Or maybe even the rangefinders, but I doubt it. Rangefinders are usually not the weak spots unless it's on the Italian tank destroyers. So usually they're not weak spots, but that is a big weak spot. So unless you're face hugging a wall covering your starboard side, only exposing this side of the turret, then that's not a problem. But yeah, it's not as good as a T-34. It's faster, more nimble than a T-34, but more prone with less gun depression, so harder to work on the ridgeline, but maybe 5.5. Well, there you go, folks. WoTRU is a Char Lourd AP58, so only for the Russian server. There's nothing to talk about. I'm still waiting for the stats on the AAT-60, the American medium tank. Nothing's come out yet, not even the in-game garage screenshots or the HD pictures. So still waiting, but for now, we can talk about something else. So as always, thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.